Hey guys, it's Sick of Books Here Nick. Welcome to week whatever this is. I appreciate you guys tuning in every week, even though I have no idea what I'm doing. But we are talking about books, as per usual, and I have some very, very exciting books to share with you. Exciting books because they're books that I just love so much. And so if you are looking to just read a good book this year, and you'd like some recommendations, this is going to be the video for you, I would imagine, because whenever I'm going to the bookstore, whenever I'm looking for a book, I am never really looking for a specific genre, a style, a vibe. I'm not like, I need a really good fantasy book today. I need a really good nonfiction book. I need a really good horror book, mystery book, whatever. I always just want a good book. I'm not really too bothered about what genre, style, vibe it is. So this is a nice little mix here of just books that are so good that if you just want to have a good year, read all 5 of these. But at least read one, because I promise you these are all really good. So let's jump into it right away before we get into other such things like how my week went, other stuff. Oh, actually, before we do that though, I have to mention, or else I'll be in trouble with myself. I do have a pre-order going on right now. I'm sorry, it's one of those weeks where I do the pre-order is live, so I do have to mention it. I'm wearing one of the sweaters right now. This is kind of the green sweater. It says "Books are sick." It's very comfortable. It's a sweater that is good, and I love it. It's got the book guy on the back. I don't know if you can see book guy. And it's I'm a taller guy, and it's a little longer, so I do love that. And I also have the shirts. These are all on Comfort Colors tags. This is a new one. This is a new color. This is kind of gray green sort of thing, but the green one is available as well as a blue one. So the link is down below if you have any interest in that. I'm so sorry. Please also subscribe. Also join my Patreon. So sorry. Okay, I'm not gonna no more salesies. Let's get into books. I'm going to start with here. Let's start with this one, because this one I think is probably the only super polarizing one on this list. It's a book I've mentioned on here before a number of times. It's a book that I love. Whenever I recommend books, I do hear back from a lot of people, especially over on socials. People are they're not shy to let me know what they thought of a book I recommended. So I get a nice little mix of reviews from people. But this one here is a book that most people, I would say, reach out and they're like, this book hit me. I love this book. Thank you so much for recommending it. But I do also get, more than any other book I've recommended, people that are like, man, that was not for me. So do be forewarned. This is the more polarizing book on this list here. It is called The Fisherman. This is by John Langan, and this is kind of a horror, mystical sort of book about a guy who has lost his wife. He's a widow, and he gets into fishing to kind of like reconnect with himself, basically. And he checks out this mystical kind of like, I don't know what you'd call it, kind of like a fishing spot that is no one's been to in a long time, and everybody talks about like, oh, it's the most amazing fishing spot, but no one can get there, blah blah blah. He gets there, some crazy stuff happens. There's a lot of backstory. The reason that I think a lot of people end up not loving this book is because it is very grim. There's a lot of existential dread. There's a lot of bleakness. You won't really feel good at any point in this book. It's not the point of this book, really. It's going to give you a tummy ache, and it's going to make you feel a little upset. And I think that's why a lot of people don't end up loving it. I love it. I love stuff like that. If you like the majority of books that I recommend, I feel like you will love this one. But do be forewarned, there's a shot that it might not be for you. But that is The Fisherman by John Langan. Just a beautiful cover, too. I mean, I love the art on this cover, and it goes all the way to the back, too. Very, very beautiful. So, maybe just get it for that reason alone. You can just kind of have it on your shelf to look at. Next up here, we'll go with another bleak book, but one that will inject you with a bit of happiness as well. This is The End of Loneliness by Benedict Wells. Benedict Wells is a German author, so this has been translated by Charlotte Collins. I think she did an amazing job because I absolutely love this book. It was just something that I truly love. This is about a group of siblings that lose their parents at a young age, and basically how their lives kind of splinter off, reconnect. We're following one of the main siblings, Jules, in this book, and you're gonna love Jules. You're gonna fall in love with Jules. You're going to fall in love with his writing. You're going to fall in love with this book, and you're going to be sad. And sometimes being sad is good for you. Actually, I feel like being sad is really good for you. So, have a healthy week and read The End of Loneliness. Now, I will just mention quickly too, if you are a photographer and if you have a love for cameras like I do, there are a few things in this book that will actually kind of just hit you that much harder. Maybe like a little talk of Leica, maybe a little gift from someone, maybe something like that. And I likewise, if you are a fan of cameras, there are a few moments in here that will make you go, no! So, The End of Loneliness, just a lovely book. I really, really enjoyed that one quite a bit. We're going to jump into The Nickel Boys. The Nickel Boys is by Colson Whitehead. This book is fantastic. There is the movie that's out right now that I have heard is just phenomenal. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet, and I've been so curious as to how they were going to make a movie out of this book, but by all accounts and purposes, from everyone I've heard, they absolutely crushed it. So I'm really looking forward to checking that out. But the book is real good. This is about two boys that are sent to a reform school in Florida in the late 60s. I believe it's based off of a real reform school that did exist for over 100 years. And it's, as you can imagine, a very brutal, very sad, eye-opening story with one of the most shocking endings I've ever read. I've mentioned that a few times, I know, but really, truly, I did not see this ending coming at all. It really was like, whoa, out of nowhere. It really was like that. So, yeah, I don't want to say too much about it because I don't like talking too much about the story because I feel like the more you know, the less exciting it is when you're reading it for the first time, so I don't like to dive too deeply into the story, but this is a really great one. The Nickel Boys, Colson Whitehead. Absolutely well worth your time. Looking forward to getting into some more Colson Whitehead as well. I started the Underground Railroad, got sidetracked. I got to dive back into that one because it was the few chapters I read were really good. Now, this is a book that you've surely heard of because this is a book I believe a lot of people had to read in high school. Not me. I didn't read anything in high school, so lucky me. Everything's nice and fresh, you know. I was like, I hear To Kill a Mockingbird is quite good as well. I might read that one soon. But this is called The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. John Steinbeck is becoming one of my favorite authors of all time, and so I'm throwing this one up there because he obviously has some very popular, very beautiful, very well-written, shorter books like Of Mice and Men and The Pearl. Both books I would highly recommend as a starting point for Steinbeck. But if you've already read those and you want to get into some more meaty Steinbeck books, The Grapes of Wrath is so good. There's a reason this book is as popular as it is and as well known as it is, because it is very modern feeling. It's very protesty. It's very much a book that you wouldn't expect to read out of the 30s or 40s or whenever this was written. I think it was written in the 50s, but it's about takes place during the Great Depression. This follows the Joad family as they escape Oklahoma for financial reasons. They have a promise of a bright future in California. A lot of brutal moments, a lot of beautiful writing, a lot of great characters, and just a book that it really is good, actually. So, The Grapes of Wrath, shocker, really good book. Read it this year if you have not. And then you can read East of Eden, which, in my opinion, is one of the best books I've ever read in my life. It is that good. Steinbeck knows how to write a book, so read them. Last one here is a memoir, actually. This is called The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. Now, this I love because this book is about Jeanette's upbringing with her parents. Her parents are just very bizarre, unorthodox, weird people that almost kind of put her in borderline dangerous situations a lot of the time. But the reason I love this book is because Jeanette has done such a beautiful job at writing it. You can tell that even though she knows her upbringing was very unconventional and at times dangerous, you can tell there is still a love there, and that shines through in her writing. And I just think it's very well done. I just think it's a very well done memoir. It'll have you scratching your head and going, what? But man, Jeanette, she has another one too called Half Broke Horses, which is kind of, I believe, half nonfiction, half fiction or something like that about her grandmother. I gotta get into that one. But The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls, one of the best memoirs I've ever read, and yeah, just fantastic. So those are 5 books. If you're looking to just have a great reading year, read all 5 of those. I promise they are as good as I say they are. I promise. But if you hate them, just let me know, because yeah, people aren't shy to do that. But those are really good ones. Okay, so next thing I was going to mention is the book club for March. I know I mentioned it last week, but I'm going to mention it again. We are doing nonfiction month next month, and so I've decided to turn my entire month into a nonfiction month because I want to read more nonfiction this year, excuse me. And so why not just force myself to only read nonfiction for a full month? I feel like it's going to be a lot of fun. For the book club, again, sorry, I believe I did mention this last week, but we had a tie for the first time ever. So we're reading 2 books for the book club in March. The first 2 weeks we'll be reading Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer, and I've been reading a little bit more about this book, and I've been getting a lot more excited for it, because at first I thought it was just about plants. It goes quite a bit deeper than that, eh? So looking forward. Okay, next up, last 2 weeks of March, we're going to be reading In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. Just one of those nonfiction books that when you talk about nonfiction, it will come up in conversation because it's that well known. Almost kind of like a classic nonfiction book. It's about a brutal murder case that happened in the late 50s. It follows the accused. It follows the effects on the small town. And it's supposed to just be really, really good. So I'm looking forward to that. The other nonfiction books I'm reading for March are going to be Say Nothing. This is by Patrick Radden Keefe. This copy got absolutely annihilated. But there's that. I can't wait to read Say Nothing. Patrick Radden Keefe is a nonfiction author that I just hear the best things about. He also wrote Empire of Pain, so I would like to check that one out as well, but I'm going to stick to Say Nothing for the month of March. I also have Isaac Storm. This is by Eric Larson. Eric Larson's an author I really love. He wrote the Lusitania, and he wrote the, which I believe the book is called Dead Wake, and he also wrote In the Garden of Beasts, which I also really love. So looking forward to checking out Isaac Storm. And also this one here, because this one has just been staring me in the face since I bought it a month ago, The Warmth of Other Suns. It's one of those things where it's just kind of been here and I've been looking at it and it's showing up in my feed all the time now. People are like, have you heard of this book? It is the best book of all time. And I'm like, okay, I guess I got to get into that. So The Warmth of Other Suns will be the other nonfiction book that I read for the month of March. Cannot wait. My parents are here to pick up the kids. That's why the dogs are going nuts. What else about my week? I saw Joel Plaskett last week, one of my favorite East Coast folk musicians of all time. I just love him so much. Always just great stories, great performance, great music. My 6-year-old fell asleep halfway through the show, and so I was able to really zone in. It was it actually worked out quite nicely. The Patreon is going absolutely nuts right now. The chats are almost hard to keep up with. There's a lot of activity. Everybody's getting club names. Some of them are so ridiculous I can't even really mention them on YouTube, but I'll have the link for that below if you want to join the book club. It's a lot of fun over there. Just a big book community of people, going nuts. So yeah, that's been a lot of fun. Again, got the pre-order. Hey. Oh, you know what I wanted to ask you guys real quick before I have to run downstairs and welcome my parents is someone had mentioned to me that Kobos are like so much better than Kindles. Do you guys have an opinion on this? Because as a Canadian, I think someone said that if you are in Canada and you have a Kobo, you can sync your Libby to a Kobo, which you can't do with Kindle if you're in Canada. So right off the bat, that seems like it would be worth it. But if anyone has any opinions on which one is better, Kobo versus Kindle, I'd love to hear your thoughts because I might be in the market for some new kind of e-reader, and the idea of being able to sync Libby would be pretty sweet. But I don't know. I feel like I had always heard that Kobos were like, but I actually have no idea. So let me know what you think. Would love to hear your thoughts. I hope you're having a beautiful week. I hope you are reading a lot of books, and I hope you're just having the best time. Appreciate you being here. I need a lot more coffee. Thanks for watching. This has been Week I Have No Idea, and I've been sick of Books or Nick. Goodbye, everybody. Love ya.